your spaceship music collective. This is Sick Set Bro, a misguided adventure through the social freak industry. I'm your host, The Maple. Howdy, everybody! Welcome to Sick Set Bro Live. I am your host, Don Maple, and it's a little empty in here today, or tonight, should I say. We are without our fabulous Mike, our young Jimmy over. Poor party cash register noise for Money Mike. Mike can't be here tonight, unfortunately, but the good news for you guys is that means you're in for another episode of Nanndes The Maple coming straight at you. It's Maple and it's Andrew Fernandez. Is to if you're feeling nasty, and the Except Bro, a music and entertainment podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, do all that good stuff. And yeah, man, we are winging it. We are shooting the breeze tonight because Mike always organizes a bunch of stuff. So we're just flying by the seat of our pants. Is that a saying? Is that I don't
flying by the seat of your pants is definitely.
Is that a thing? Yeah, that's okay. I thought I made that.
You're not making that up.
Yeah, so like, I have 5 minutes for the show, and I was like, make a theme song for Nanndes and the Maple Leaf. It's terrible.
Wait,
it's absolutely awful because I made the 5 minutes, so it's the worst. It is the absolute worst. Nice. Yeah. So I kept thinking, I was like, there's got to be. I felt like there was a rhyme in there somewhere about like you know, Nanndes and the Maple Leaf. Yeah, one's Canadian, one's Portuguese. You know, I thought there was something.
That is tough.
I thought that would be something to fit in, and then I was like, what vibe am I going for? But I did it all, literally 5 minutes. It's the worst. It sounds like a Field Creed demo or something. But here you go. I kind of ran out of lyrics there at the end.
Thank God, that was long.
I know, right? It was an epic intro.
It's like
and it's
Game
like
of Thrones length.
That's why I thought it was like the complete opposite of what Nanndes and the Maple Leaf is. It's like we just chilling. It's like so intense.
Oh,
I know. Funny. I just had to let the let the riffs loose, you know. Every once in a while, you gotta do that, man. So yeah, I mean, I got a couple of things to get into.
I just want to say Happy Mario Day. March
I didn't know
10th.
That. Why March 10th?
Well, because if you go MAR and then 10, Mario.
Oh. Well, that's cool. That's something.
There you go.
It's a bit random that it's like right smack in the middle of International Women's Month, but
Wait. Yeah. Okay.
isn't it? Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm
It's
confused.
yeah,
No, I'm
it was a
confused
day,
because
but it was a month.
there was a day within the month. Yep. Okay.
Every day's a day. That's what I always say to
Okay.
people now. Every day is a day. There's like I remember in particular there was one day where I was like online and it was like 3 different days. And I was like, how is that even possible? It was like International Popcorn Day and International Donut Day at like the same time or something dumb, and I was just like, well, what's wrong? So I don't know. So today's Mario Day, international or global? Is this a worldwide event, or do the other countries have different days for Mario celebration?
Just for Italian plumbers.
Oh man, you know what's actually pretty funny? So, you know the way I was like talking about all this trash TV that I watch.
Yeah.
Sarah and I, our new like pastime is to watch Tiny House Nation on Netflix, and get really frustrated at it. Like I just get annoyed watching these people do it. If you haven't watched it, I mean, it is what it
Tiny
says it is.
House Nation.
Tiny House Nation, yeah. So it's like
Okay.
these people that decide they're gonna move into a tiny home, and the most annoying about it is how many times they say tiny house. It would make a terrific drinking game. And I'm just gonna patent that right now. If you want to play that, drink every time they say tiny home, and you'll be wrecked in the first 5 minutes. The intro was like 10. They just keep saying tiny house all the time, and they're obsessed with it. It's really weird. Like they talk about it as if it's something we should all fully understand. Like the first episode I ever seen was like these people were moving in, and they were like, "Oh, we haven't told our parents we're doing this," and the two hosts of the show are like, "I can't believe you haven't even told your parents you're going tiny," and they couldn't fathom it.
So are these
I was like,
people coming from big homes?
yeah, they're coming from like normal houses, and then I guess the equivalent of like RV slash camper van type deal, but for some reason they won't call it that. But it's like it's a house that you can put on wheels essentially, and these guys like go. Well, I say these guys go and help out. They don't really. There's one guy who definitely doesn't help at all. I think he's just the host of the show, and he seems very useless, and he just goes around getting in everyone's face, coming up with ideas that the actual builder host is like, why do you keep bringing me stuff?
Why
And yeah, so he they like come up with all this annoying shit to like try and make it livable. Like there's one I watched last night where these guys moved into this tiny home, and it was like they always try and make your bedroom like an upper level of this house. And I mean it's so small, man. It's so tiny. So it's like there isn't separate rooms. It's kind of like you have to climb up a ladder and then you're in a tiny loft space. But no joke, it was like a coffin. Like his nose was touching the roof of the ceiling whenever he's lying down, and they all have to pretend that they're really happy with it. They're like, "Oh my god, there's so much room up here. It's so comfortable." And I was like, "Your nose is touching the roof, dude."
No.
Anyway, what I was gonna say is I watched one last night, and this guy had an uncle, and he was called Uncle Mario, and no joke, he had a mustache and looked like an Italian plumber. And I was like, that is the Mario. It's actually Mario.
That's brilliant.
I didn't even know that was on Mario's Day Eve. I didn't even know.
Mario's before.
I was celebrating it.
But me. Well, how?
Yeah, so Tiny House Nation, that's my new thing.
Okay. God, you come up.
Yeah.
You come up with such a. As me struggling, like because there's the Biggie documentary which I haven't seen yet. I was like, watch that instead.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. You know what I really think it is? If I have to analyze my own thoughts here, it's because I don't really sit and watch it by myself. I only sit and watch it with my wife to complain as well. It's not even like there's nothing on. Like, we could watch a show together, but I also like to just watch terrible TV like that and then just make fun of the people on it. That's much more entertaining. I should probably just watch like a proper movie or something. That would be better.
Something.
Instead of being like I've watched all seasons of Tiny House Nation, and what's that other one? I've watched Rush. I've watched Nailed It. I've watched all the bad shows on Netflix. Like I'm all over that. All
Wait,
over
there's
that
shows.
shit.
I didn't even know there was shows like that on Netflix.
Yeah, man, yeah,
Like
there's loads.
like housing. No.
But yeah, there's
No
like
clue.
decorating ones, and I don't know. There's like I said the other week, it was like the thing that pisses me off about it is like majority of shows, especially cooking shows, are just all the Great British Bake Off format, and I find that really irritating. It's just the thing, but they just change up what it is. It's like okay, they're not baking cakes, they're making glass sculptures, or they're making flower arrangements. Like I don't. It's just the exact same. It's like two judges and then two hosts, and hosts go around and try and be fun. They have like a always have like a star, like the equivalent of starter, and they're always something really silly. Like in the glass blowing show, it was like best in blow. That's what they called it. Whenever you were the best one. Yeah, I mean that show is hilarious on so many levels. The gardening one has best in bloom, and I'm like, dude, this is all the same. It's all the same show.
All the same stuff. Do you know what
Uh,
show I was
yeah.
addicted to watching a while ago? Was is it How It's Made or how? Yeah, I think it's called How It's Made. It was on Dave. Remember that Freeview channel, Dave?
The rapper Dave, his
No,
channel
not
that he
Dave, not
has.
the rapper Dave.
No, he owns that.
Is
That's
that
his
his?
channel.
Or is it
Yeah,
How
yeah,
It
he
Works?
runs it.
It's either How It Works or How It's Made. It shows you how they make like jelly beans and shit.
Oh, that's crazy.
Just
That's,
random
yeah.
stuff.
That's like that. There was
But that's
that
a show
TV
that you'd probably like.
Yeah, because it's a TV show where you had to you had to emulate snacks or something. So it was like some sort of cookery show where it's like, oh, they give you a Kit Kat, and then it's like you have to, as a baker or chef or whatever
make.
the hell, you have to make a Kit Kat as close as possible to the manufactured kind. Yep, I'm losing everyone. We went too casual at this time. But yeah, man. Yeah, it's trash TV is the best. I love it. You got me off with International Mario Day. I don't even know if it's
Yeah,
international.
sorry, that was. I don't. I just
okay.
know it's happened.
I
I just know
immediately
it's.
had
I
to
mean, it's the
explain.
same. It's the same date everywhere, but I think. See, we would say the 10th of March, so it wouldn't be for us.
Yeah,
But
yeah, it
the
doesn't
Americans and stuff would say March 10th.
March 10th. So it goes the other
So
way.
we can never celebrate any cool days.
Yeah, because it doesn't spell anything. Yeah, what's there's the musician one they always joke about is like sound check day or something. Well, like the 12th of December is like 1 2 1 2. It's just a dumb joke. Dumb joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean in current events, the royal family is racist.
Oh, I still haven't watched that either.
Piers
Jesus,
Morgan
see?
is a twat, and
I didn't watch that either.
just all things that I thought we knew, anyways. What else happened?
I actually I do want to watch that interview. I didn't even think when I seen like Oprah, I was like, man, Oprah's still doing stuff. I didn't think it was still like.
Oh,
on
she chooses her
TV.
moments. Oprah chooses her moments. Like the last big thing I remember Oprah doing was the thing with the Central Park Five, whenever their TV show came out.
was a
Do you
great
remember that show? What was that show
Oh,
called?
it was
can't remember.
when they see us.
When They See Us? Yeah, I think that's right.
When They See Us.
And then
I cried
afterwards,
at that show.
oh man, that was the worst.
I cried.
And
Especially that just not a spoiler. I'll do it as
Corey.
no, in the courtroom, and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
I was
yeah.
watching it. I was watching it on my tablet. It was one of them things where it was one of them shows where I started watching it on my TV, and I think I finished the show in like that. I finished the show that day. I think. Started it early morning. I was like, I'll just eat my breakfast to this, blah blah blah, and then took it from the TV, went to my laptop, went to my iPad, started doing like stuff around the house, like dishes and stuff. Continued watching it. Came back, waited on dinner, because obviously, how many episodes? Like 10 episodes or something. As I'm watching it, that scene, out of nowhere, my eyes just fill, and I'm like, "What is happening right now?"
Man, I get that. Totally get that. That was a hard watch. Like, not to. I mean, it's a true story. It just makes it worse. It'd be hard enough to watch if it wasn't. But that's the last thing I remember Oprah doing. After they aired that show, she had the actual guys on to talk about all that stuff. And and now she's done this Meghan Markle thing. Although I'm not really here to talk about that because I don't want to get angry. But I've already had my own personal feelings about all that.
Oh, it is cool. It is cool when they see us.
When they see us.
Just look it up.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
But
I don't know. I'm caught between wanting to watch it and I can just take whatever people are saying about it. Like I can just watch little clips around the internet instead of that's 2
what
hours.
I did. I'll be honest. It's 2 hours and I watched highlights. Like I mean that's all you really need to. It is nothing surprise. I don't know why people are shocked. It's like it's not that shocking. It's like probably what you knew. And sorry for any, older listeners of the show, but I just feel like there's this sort of barrier between the younger generation, the older generation, that the older generation blindly follow the royal family no matter what they do. So it's kind of like, oh, you have to respect them. I've never been a fan. Not because I think anything in particular, but it's like I don't care. I'm not like
See you saying that. See the day before that aired. There was a lady in my work who said she was going to watch it, and she put across her opinions beforehand. The day after, she came back with a completely opposite opinion than what she had.
That's good though, and
she was an older lady.
I think that's super important.
But she kept going. She kept going. See if it was true, and I'm like, I don't know what you're on about, but I'm gonna engage anyway, just to keep the conversation flowing.
It's that hard thing of like, no matter who it is or in what industry, it's if it's true, and I really struggle with stuff like this. Like I'll be honest, like I kind of reserve judgments on everything that happens, and I like to think that I am a good enough judge of character that I can figure it out for myself. But there's a lot of people that do the opposite of what they used to, which is instead of innocent until proven guilty, it's the reverse now. So the minute an accusation or anything goes out, I mean, you're guilty until proven innocent, which I find is very hard. I mean, yes, we should all be wary, I think. If there's something, that has happened, then whatever job they're in, maybe they get suspended, or if it's like an athlete, then maybe we don't let them play until they go to court and figure the whole thing out. But it's like, it's this whole, bam, you're done, the cancel culture whole thing, whatever. But, it's the same for this, is like, there's a lot of people just rooted in their own opinions before they'll even watch that Meghan Markle, Oprah conversation. And I'm not surprised in the slightest. There's nothing about that I was like, oh my God. And I think a very small minority of people will turn around and be like, that changed my opinion. Majority of people already have made their mind up that they don't believe a word she says, which is horrible. Or else, people who already sided with her anyways and thought, oh, they're having a hard time with it. I don't know. Dude, I don't know. I'm not in the royal family, but I don't care all that much, I'll be honest. I mean, I just get annoyed it's more the annoyance of people who blindly follow. That's what I feel strongly about in this whole scenario, is like people who are just like, royal family are good. And it's like, look at all the charity work they do. It's like, dude, right. Do you understand if you, say we even ran a company together, and even if we wanted to or didn't want to, it doesn't matter. If we made millions and millions of dollars or pounds or whatever fucking currency we have, is it not a bad look if you don't donate to charity? It's almost like a must. Look at any big corporation. They're all donating to charity. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're good people behind it. It's good publicity. is what I would say. But Jesus,
Like,
people
is this
might
a
chop
tax
me down
write-off?
for this. This is a tax write-off. Just write it off, man. Just write it off. But yeah, that was that's just the news that like filled the whole thing. It's like I try and get music news for this show, and my life has just been consumed with Meghan Markle as of late, and Piers
See, I'm
Morgan,
lucky.
who
I'm
is a
lucky.
fucking twat anyway. I
I'm
hate
lucky
Piers
I
Morgan.
didn't. Yeah, I seen the thing. I was like, I don't know why he walked off. I don't know when it happened. I just seen these things of him walking off. I'm like, all right.
Well, he's a bit creepy. Like, have you ever watched stuff? So he keeps claiming that he was really close friends with Meghan Markle before, but it doesn't sound like they were that
Oh, does
close.
this link him walking off? Does this link to that?
Well, yeah, it's because he's been shitting on her for ages because
Oh,
essentially he feels like she started ghosting him ever since she got with Prince Harry. And I'm like,
right.
dude, what do you, did he think he was in there or something? I don't know. It seems really weird, but I just don't like that man anyway. He's one of those people that thrive off controversy and arguments, and I'm like, dude, I'm not about that. I just chill
Yeah.
out, all right? Just
Yeah.
chill out.
It's yeah. I have no idea what goes on in that. Well, Piers Morgan's like the last time I seen anything to do with Piers Morgan is when he interviewed Ronaldo, and that was a year and a half ago, maybe. That's the last thing I paid attention to. I was
I
like,
get
oh, that's
frustrated that
only because Ronaldo was on it.
yeah. Well, I just get frustrated people like that are on television. I was like, can we just get rid of him? Can we put him and Jeremy Clarkson in like a capsule and fire them off into space? So nice. I feel like Jeremy Clarkson and Piers Morgan to see in person. But...
Jeremy Clarkson would be like in the car, like when Elon Musk like fired that car into space.
I know I'm so hypocritical here because it's just like, dude, your interests are your interests, but I'm like, Jeremy Clarkson, just, let it go with the cars already. Stop caring about cars so much. All right?
He's the car guy.
He is the car guy. He made a lot of jerky comments,
Oh, yeah.
like having to go with that little girl, like Greta Thunberg or whatever, with the Wild Thornberries, whatever her name is. And
I
I was
know,
like, started arguing with her. I was like, oh, you're a grown man.
I
Grow
know.
up.
It's
What?
very, yeah, it's very frustrating.
Yeah.
The whole Greta thing. But anyway,
But yeah. That kind of consumed the media. So that's why, you know what? We'll just say something. This is a music and entertainment podcast. We got to talk about everything, current events that's going down. But in the music world, we actually got some good news, I would say. Just a little update on last week. We were talking about the race for number one, and the fact that Maximo Park were on their way towards that. Unfortunately, they didn't get it. They
did
got
they
the
not
number two
even
spot.
with the? Oh,
They got number two.
man.
Very very close. They lost it kind of in the last minutes there.
Who did they
And
lose to? Hold on, you carry on. I'll look it up. Since
I
Mike's
want to
not-
say you can look it up for me, Andy, but I want to say it's a band called Architects, which still, sort of meant that guitar-based music was still up in the charts. Plus Mogwai the week before, and now you got Kings of Leon with the new record. So like, although Kings of Leon don't count in my opinion. Is the most Kings of Leon thing is that if you watch Police Interceptors, I can't even speak. If you watch Police Interceptors, the stupid cop show, it always comes up and it gives you like people's favorite things. It'll be like, favorite food, curry,
Oh yes. Yeah.
all that stuff. Every single Police Interceptors I've ever seen, their favorite band is either AC/DC or Kings of Leon. Those are apparently the only two bands that police enjoy. It's just such a middle-aged man band to like. No offense to the middle-aged man anywhere. But is just such a such a type of person that loves Kings of Leon. As much man, I adored Kings of Leon back in the day. Like I really did. Like my first band that I was in used to cover Molly's Chambers all the time, like constantly. It was every show. It was our thing. Is we would cover Molly's Chambers, and that was before like, I'll get all hipster here. That was before Only by the Night before Sex on Fire and Use Somebody and all that sort of stuff. We were just big Kings of Leon fans back in the day.
Right.
But yeah, that's they've a new record out that I'm gonna talk about later in the show a little bit, anyways. Because they released it a really weird way. But did you find it? No.
I went on and it started giving me Billboard 100s and everything. I'm like, I typed in UK official and do you know what? I'll believe you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a band called Architects. If you're watching,
But the thing is, do you know what it is?
Throw it in the
Because
comments, people.
See, because it's like, what is it, Wednesday today? Like that, I'm probably looking at updated, so streams of new songs that have come out of probably like.
Yeah, no, I get that. And
so
that was the problem, because Maximo Park were number one pretty much for the entire week, and it was really just at the end that they lost it by a little bit. But they're overjoyed anyway, you know. They were still loving it, you know, for that type of music to hit number 2 again. And I think there's kind of like a big conversation to be had about that. I know we hit on it on our big question the other week there about is guitar-based music coming back? Is there like a resurgence? I've sort of been thinking more
just
about
one thing
this.
before you
Okay.
go. Just one thing before you go. I mean, do the fans of a certain music genre, does it need to just beat does it need to be a competition? It's like, oh, we need to have this out there. It's like, just what you've got, just enjoy it. Even if it goes away. It doesn't have to be the forefront of everything. At least you're getting something. I feel like this whole debate is like, guitar-based music needs to be the forefront of music. It's like,
No,
chill.
I've got a counter for you for
Yes,
that,
go.
and because I get what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
But it's really, whenever it comes down to it, it's stuff like you know, what is the point of a young person out in the world who wants to learn an instrument and start a band? They have no incentive anymore, because it comes down to what you could get a career out of, and it's already next to impossible to get a career as a musician. It's very hard. If you want to be an independent musician that writes your own music, it is an extremely difficult career path to go into. There's no doubt about that, no matter what genre you're in. But
What's crazy
do you
is
not think it's harder now if you wanted to be a rock band? That feels harder than being a hip hop artist.
What's crazier is if you just say you had a band, it is easier to get noticed now than it ever was. But because that's the case, everybody's doing it at the same time,
Yeah.
and you're just getting lost in the shuffle.
It's saturation.
But it's
that's the problem.
at the
'Cause
minute,
there's too
it's
much.
Yeah, there's too much because it's easy to put stuff out. And when I say easy, I'm not saying writing a song and creating a song is hard. It's
I
when you've
get
done
you.
it and putting it out is.
It's the ability to distribute
ability to-
music.
yes.
You used to have
Yeah.
to have a record label, and if you didn't have that, you would have to go around, hand out CDs or cassettes or whatever the hell. And now you don't have to. You know, it's all digital, and it's easy to do, and you can pay a small amount to a distribution company to release as much music as you want. And it's you know, I think for any younger people listening to the show, I'm sure they kind of are already on this, but it's like it's such a transition that some of the older musicians had to go through, because you think you know the right way to do it at the start, and then things changed really fast, and it's like physical just doesn't mean dick anymore. It doesn't. I mean, there's vinyl collectors. The vinyl is way stronger than a CD. Like you said, don't give me a CD. I think CD is charity, in my opinion. Is like, if I see a band and they're trying to sell me their CD and I pay for it, it's because I like the band and I'm essentially giving them money. They don't even need to give me the CD. It's just like, because I'm not gonna use it. I'm like, I'll just be totally honest. I've not used a CD and I don't know how long.
Imagine
it's
someone
just
gives
not
you a
necessary
CD and
anymore.
you just go, here, where am I gonna? I don't know where to put
Where do I
this.
plug in?
Where do I-
Where do I plug in, baby? It's like, is there a digital download code inside? Because that's what I need. That's the funniest part about, if you're like a vinyl collector. If you buy a new record now, they just automatically come with like download codes inside, which is
Can I
awesome
tell
because
you?
I feel like that
Go
is the
ahead.
proper explanation of like, I got the vinyl. I really love this thing, but majorly, I'm probably not gonna listen to it on my record player. I'm probably gonna listen to it on my phone or on my
Do you know what's
computer or something. It's like, so I
do you know
need
what's
that code.
do you know what's crazy is that probably going to show my age here, but see when they started introducing digital codes with physical copies, I would read it and I'd be like, too much hassle. Who's going to do that? And I would just put the CD in because it would show you like the
Yeah,
three things that you can put it on, you can play it through, and you're like, oh, you have to go here to download it. I'm like, it's going to do that. And I would
yeah,
just put my CD in, and now it's like, I don't want a CD, just give me the.
I know. You know, the worst part of all of that is that I must have so much wasted free download code. I should just post them up for people or something like that
Yeah.
because I like to buy vinyls. I like records. They always come with a free download code, but I also have Spotify, so I don't. I've hardly ever redeemed a download code for a vinyl because I'm like, well, I'll probably just listen to them somewhere or in the
Yeah.
car or whatever. And whenever I'm at home, I'll listen to the record, like whatever. I don't need that download code. I just don't need it. Like I'm not gonna download the files and take up room on my computer. It's just so not necessary
Could
anymore.
be a giveaway one day or something.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be like, here's all my free download codes to a bunch of music. We should do that.
Exactly.
I don't know if anyone would want it.
Why
We
not?
give them hundreds of songs if I opened up all my records and got the free download codes. We should do that. It's like, get all this eclectic music in a free giveaway. That'd be awesome.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm like, I guitar music and just general band instrumental music, it hasn't gone away. There's just not as many outliers as there was. I
Yeah.
watched a thing on Apple, the YouTube page about the Foo Fighters and how they came up with was it Best
The
of
new.
You or something, one of their
Oh,
songs, and I'm like, there's no like Foo Fighters was such a big band. I'm only using them because that's what came to my head first. But outliers now for the casual listener of music, like, is there as many giant names like there was back in the day, like Smashing Pumpkins, Foo Fighters,
yeah.
you know,
This
like
is
giant Coldplay,
Yeah,
all that stuff.
that's what my point was before, man. Is it's not like I felt like a couple of people hit me up in the comments after my last the last thing I asked about guitar music being so not prevalent in chart music anymore, and I still feel like people didn't really get what I meant, and maybe I've got my blinkers on. Like I'll be honest, like maybe I'm just not seeing it the same way, but it's the idea of those bands that were so huge. I feel like everybody and their grandmother knew who those bands were. Like, I mean, that's what you said before. Is like your mom knows who Foo Fighters is, or your dad knows who Foo Fighters is. Like, there was a difference in how big they were, and people were trying to use bands like Idols as examples, and I'm like, Idols are a very big rock band. Like, I will give them that. Yes, and I love Idols too, but I also don't expect my parents to know who idols
Yeah,
are.
just yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I put them on once, and they're like, "What the hell is this? Can
I
you turn
was
this off?" Which
I
is
was
fair.
there.
Yes, you were there. That's
I
right.
was there. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, it's boy, it totally isn't their thing. I was just doing out of badness, like, but I'm not
then we
saying
put the
that they need
band
to
on.
enjoy it either. It's just like the sort of the thing where it's like, oh yeah, I've heard of them. They're that big that they had heard of them.
But and then in that same instance, and then you could just move on and put Foo Fighters on or put something on, and they will go like they would just let it go in the background because it's.
Yeah,
And the thing
yeah,
is, see what. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just doing this just for conversation reasons, but them bands back then had as much as they were inspired by their growing up and stuff, they also brought something about them and themselves and unique songs. Unlike maybe now and just not that many years ago, people were trying to copy them. So it didn't sound like anything was changing, which again I brought that point up last time,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's the change that isn't really happening.
yeah. And I mean, I get that. I do think I think there are outliers to that conversation. I
Yeah.
honestly
Oh, well,
do,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
at the same time, I get you, and it's hard. It's hard because I feel like I'm one of the things where I could be in my own sort of feedback loop, of like, well, I get to a certain age and that's how I feel about music, which I try so desperately not to do. But
I mean, we know people
you
that don't
know,
listen to anything outside the 90s.
yeah,
So
I know, which is true. Yeah, and that's great. That's a bad feedback loop.
it's
But I
like,
know what
who's
you're
Drake?
saying. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, that's a true story. Somebody didn't know who Drake was, and then I was like, oh dear. Yeah, I mean, I always get doing this. I'm sorry I talk about Blink-182 so much on the show, but it's just because I know a lot about them and I've been a lifetime fan, so they're always a good example to talk about. But me and Mike had always had conversations about how the problem with the bands that came after Blink 182 that couldn't fill the gap was that Blink took their influences from like punk bands and comedy punk bands as well, like Screeching Weasel and I'm trying to think of like all the people that it was all these like sort of punk bands back in the 80s and stuff. They big love for Fugazi and yeah, it's influences that didn't exactly sound like Blink 182, but you get where they're coming from. Um, and
Well,
the
sure.
problem,
Would you say Blink 182 like kind of then spawned like the Bowling for Soups and stuff like
they
that, and
did, and
you know,
that's the thing. But those, it felt like those bands came and went. I mean, both, yeah, they keep going like the same way we just do, but it's
what
like
was that? Yeah, we
it's
just
bands like All Time Low and I'm
was
trying to even
lit.
think who
Was
else.
lit like a comedy-ish band?
Lit were kind of around the same time. I don't think they
Were
were
they?
comedy.
They weren't
I
really.
don't
No.
think so. I didn't really listen to them to be honest. But
No.
I felt like the bands after, like if you take like All Time Low, it's like they really copied them. Like I felt like they were trying desperately to be Blink 182, and then the messed up thing about that was Blink 182 kept going and tried to sound like All Time Low, and it's like, what is
See,
happening?
and then that's exactly, yeah, and then originality and unique sounding things kind of get muddled and kind of disappear because you're still trying to sound like your
Yeah,
peers
yeah,
or
someone
whatever,
else. Like
and you're just
that's actually my biggest argument for the Foo Fighters now, right? And don't get me wrong, I do enjoy the Foo Fighters. I do, and I even there's certain songs off the new record that I like. I've never felt like they're a sort of I love every song on this record band. They always kind of have like bits and pieces where I'm like, oh, that's cool, and then some stuff where I'm like, I don't know what they're doing here. But
yeah,
the problem with Foo Fighters now is I feel like they took such a long time struggling to get the formula where they were all happy and content in that band. Like there's a lot of members came and went, a lot of kind of infighting, a little bit of power struggle as it were, but
yeah,
in later years they pretty much like brought all the members in. Like I'm no Foo Fighters expert, so don't take my word for it, but it's more or less like some of the people who left came back and then they were like, let's just make this a huge band with all the members, and Dave still goes and writes pretty much all the songs. He writes the songs, brings them in, and then those guys put their own little spin on it or whatever. But the problem is now that they're like this huge arena band, with all the money in the world, they don't really have to make records anymore, but they do it for the love of it. I feel like the influences that Dave Grohl tries to put through in his songs are like so evident. He talks about it, and then it's like it sounds like he's really trying to emulate a certain band, and then it just turns into the same Foo Fighters chorus every single time. So
it's
he
tough.
doesn't go anywhere else. It's just like he always reverts back to the same Foo Fighters chorus, and that's why I just don't think they're breaking new ground anymore. Is like he's kind of like stuck in the past with actually bands like Fugazi and who else is it that he's a massive fan of? I always forget the name of them.
But wouldn't it be
It's
wouldn't it isn't it tough for bands like that have been, because you go right, you're new, you're doing your own sound, you're innovating, blah blah blah, and then you kind of back up to yourself and like start eating your own tail because you've run out of the length of time that they've been doing stuff. It's like,
yeah.
where do we go from here?
Well, it depends how you experiment. Is some people are better at it than others, and it's taking the risk. And some people maybe aren't willing to take the risk. Like Foo Fighters went out on a limb that like every project that they put out feels like they come up with some sort of storyline to make it unique. But unfortunately, the underlying thread throughout them all is that they're not that unique, and they all kind of sound the same to me. But they always have a story, like, Sonic Highways is like, we recorded this in all these different states around America. There was Wasting Light, where it's like, we recorded this in Dave's garage, but it's like his garage was like a multi-million-dollar studio, to be honest, so it didn't really matter where you recorded it. And now the most recent was that they recorded it in this like freaky mansion that they thought was haunted, and the last record was probably the most experimental they went, because they worked with a different producer for the first time, Greg Kurstin, and they worked with him again on this record. So Butch Vig, who always, I mean, he produced Nevermind, the Nirvana record, they always worked with him like constantly. And
See, that's another thing as well. It's who you pick, like producers
Yeah.
and stuff. Like I know with like just with Korn and stuff, it's like they had Ross Robinson for the first two, the first album, second album, third album. They switched it up, 90s style, Follow the Leader. That kind of, they introduced some like hip hop acts and more rappish stuff, and then they went back to dark with Issues, and then but when they done a dubstep album,
Yeah.
which kind of switched it up again, you're like, oh god, a new sound, because Jonathan Davis was doing his solo stuff, and then he done the Queen of the Damned, and he was mixing with soundtracks and stuff, and then they kind of felt like they had to go back to the rawness of the first album, with like take a look in the
get
mirror,
fans back. Yeah.
and they had to get like they had to go, right, we're coming back with this shorter album. It was Take a Look in the Mirror. That's when Your Wanna Single came from. But now it's like they're doing a mixture of and obviously they went through band changes and stuff as well, but now it's almost a mixture of what Jonathan does in his solo stuff, and then now they're almost introducing more guitar, not as off tone guitar sounds as they used to do, but now they're doing it more musically, with maybe some, but not as much like drum and bass or whatever they were doing, like in the Twisted Transistor. What was that album?
Yeah. I forget what the record's called, but I know what you mean. The one that Twisted Transistor was on.
Yes,
But,
that was
I
it.
totally get you.
And so they've changed like maybe two or three times in about 20 years. So it's like you have to switch it up sometimes drastically.
Yeah. And I've said this numerous times on the show. It's how I make my music is, I've always been huge fans of people who can evolve and come at every project a little differently. And I know that's very easy for me to say. I'm just sitting here, like, I mean, if you have millions of dollars on the line and you're afraid, like, you're always going to alienate someone. That's the problem, I think, is like your fans that you currently have. If you don't sound like you, a lot of the casual listeners will be like, what the hell is this? I'm not about this. I'm gone. But you could gain new fans, and the diehards that are like, oh, I really like what they're doing there. They're experimenting.
I mean, JC says you want to listen to the old Jay-Z, go listen to the old Jay-Z, but this is
exactly
me now.
It's also, but that's what I mean. It's easy for Jay-Z to say because he has
Yeah, I
shitloads
know,
of money, and
I
it
know.
doesn't matter if his album tanks. Like he can afford to tank an album like easily.
Yeah.
It's the people who maybe can't. It's tougher. But all my favorite artists have been like the Beatles and David Bowie. Even Block Party is a more modern band that I thought managed to change their sound every single
See,
record.
Block Party, now, I remember, like, Block Party had a period there where they did switch up the scene, and I'm like, oh God, look.
Yeah.
And then everybody started kind of like, oh, Just sounds like Block Party.
Everybody tried to sound like Block Party. Was
So
the
it's
issue.
like, yeah.
And that band was terrific right up until they done their fourth record, which was called Four. Fun. And then the band members started leaving, and then they tried to release stuff after, and it's just like, it doesn't
Didn't
sound
work.
like Block Party anymore. It's
Yeah.
very evident that it took that whole band to make those songs. You couldn't do it without the other guys. But yeah, I think what you said though is like picking your producer. I think goes a long way, because a band that I do think like put out a record that was crazily different, even though it still sounded like them, was the Red Hot Chili's with what was that album called? Oh, The Getaway. Sorry, my mind was blanking. The Getaway by the Red Hot Chili Peppers, their most recent record. Whenever they still had Josh Klinghoffer in the band, they decided to work with a different producer instead of going with Rick Rubin. They went with Danger Mouse, which is very different for them, you know. And I think it was very evident in the sound. And they let Josh play a bunch of synths and stuff as well. And I love the album. Some people are. That's what I mean. How it alienates your fans is like some of the OG fans hate that record, and they just feel it's not them. And then there's people like me that actually that was the most excited I've been about the Chili Peppers in years, since Stadium Arcadium, because
that's a good album.
the record before was shit. I'm with you. That was the first one after John Frusciante left, and it was pretty bad. Like it really disappointed. I'm sorry. But yeah, there's people who have done that a multitude of times, and then people who have lost it because they've lost their producer, like Blink-182 again. Jerry Finn was like, he's like master of like pop punk back in the day. He used to produce like all the best pop punk tracks. He passed away, unfortunately, and whenever he went, Blink like kind of ceased to exist as well. That was like around the same time they split up because they didn't have him in the studio, and I think that was a huge factor in them not being able to make music again together. And then they tried to come back. They made Neighborhoods themselves, like self-produced, and then they ended up going to John Feldman, who I just hate. I hate his production sound. It sounds awful. I hate that he writes the songs for them. It's weird. I don't know. Not about any of that, but yeah. But yeah. What we'll do, man, is we'll head to a little commercial
Yes,
break.
I need a toilet anyway.
Yeah, and then we'll come back after and we'll chat about a couple of other things.
Sweets,
Stay tuned.
folks.
Everybody can take 5. Everybody can have a bathroom break.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Hey there, fresh-faced creative in a youthful advertising demographic. Does your reading material have a distinct lack of cultural nourishment for your slowly decaying, malnourished soul? Stop! Put that garbage down. Everyone knows you shouldn't get your news from old mediums like paper. That's 8th century. Plug into the information superhighway, loser, and read a zine. It's like a magazine, but without all that dumbass paper. Read Stranger Days, the arts and culture e-zine. It's got music, comedy, art, poetry, tarot cards, cinema, year spaceship, comics, podcasts, and Jim Carrey. Read Stranger Days now, because between you, me, and your trusty canine companion, we know fluffy cuddles and e-zines are the only way to push back the existential dread slowly consuming your every waking moment. Hold back the darkness, Tay, with Stranger Days. Available now at strangerdays.wordpress.com.
If you want to wrap your ears around all the music we've been talking about on the podcast, we run a special playlist over on Spotify. It's called Distant Sound Waves. Here over at 6 Bro, we always thought, what's the gosh darn point of doing a music podcast if you can't let people hear any music? There is a whole lot of legal mumbo jumbo and copyright issues that prevent us from actually doing that on the pod. So we thought that was a pretty good compromise. Make a playlist and it gets updated every single month. On the playlist, have things like all the new local homegrown talent talked about, maybe some bigger artists that we've had conversations about. We'll put those guys on there, or maybe it's just something that we stumbled across and we've been talking about on the podcast. It is all there. You can find us in Soundwaves by searching for it on Spotify, or you can find it all over our social medias. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Welcome back. Oh, that was that was a quick toilet break there, Andy. We need more commercials so we can both go and drop some poops.
I'm efficient.
Yeah, I wanted I don't really know what it's about, but right before I came on the show tonight, I did notice on a couple of places on social media that there's an interesting thing going around with Paul McCartney involved with a bunch of different bands. I don't know whether it's like a covers record or what it is, but there are bands that I follow, such as Queens of the Stone Age, Beck, St. Vincent, and they've all posted the same image, which is like a bunch of dice, which if anyone hasn't listened to the most recent Paul McCartney record, he has three die whatever lined up on the cover for his third self-named album. So it's obviously to do with that in some capacity, but they've just posted that picture and like tagged Paul McCartney in it. So I don't really know what's going on there, but there's something a brewing. I don't know whether a cover album or it's something of Paul McCartney songs. I don't know, but there's a bunch of bands. Those are just three that I happen to follow. But right before, it was like five minutes before I came on. It's like 5 minutes I wrote the theme song, and then another 5 minutes after that I was looking at this. So 10 minutes altogether prep for the show.
Nice.
So there's something up brewing. Keep your eyes peeled the rest of the week in case something drops. I'm guessing Friday. That's usually the drop day for most things. So
Usually.
there might be something there.
Might be a charity record.
Maybe. COVID relief.
COVID
relief fund. You know what I love Paul McCartney, but I also hate whenever he talks about how he wrote songs because he makes it sound so uninspiring. Because people have so many theories about what the songs are about and everything, and he always makes it so grounded and down to earth. And he's just like, I was just sitting there with the guitar and I thought, that sounds pretty good. That's every song that he talks about how he wrote it is just like, I thought, that sounds quite good. It's like, yeah, okay, you don't really help the story, Paul. It's like everyone's like, oh, there's like some sort of secret meaning behind this. He's like, no, I just thought pancakes were quite cool, and I thought, I'll write a song about pancakes.
After talking about like how long Foo Fighters have been around, what the hell does Paul McCartney write about?
Hey, saying that, his last record got me in the heart. I love the last album. I thought it was great. There's one song in particular called When Winter Comes, and I love it so much. You can have your own interpretation of it. I mean, that's the thing. It's like I don't even want to hear Paul, because I know if I have my own feelings of what that song's about, but if I was to listen to Paul explain it, he would probably just be like, well, it's just a song about farming, about farmers, or something like that,
And
But
it like ruins the illusion of the song to you, the way you took it. Oh, man.
Well, you see, they have an animated video for When Winter Comes, and it's actually pretty emotional because it's like, like I'm a huge Beatles fan, so like if anybody out there knows like Paul McCartney's Ram album just after he left the Beatles, and like him and Linda McCartney were living on the farm, with their kids, it's like, it seems like the video is hinting at like that's where he is now, and in my head that's like a kind of heaven for him. It almost seems like the song is literally about working on a farm, but I feel like that was maybe one of the happier moments in his life. So it's like, because obviously Linda's not here anymore. She's passed away, so it kind of feels like this is his imagination of the perfect heaven would be him with his kids and Linda on the farm again, and that kind of got me a little bit. There's a tiny bit in the video whenever there's a figure sitting under a tree, and it looks like he's dressed a bit like John Lennon. So to me, it was like, well, maybe his best friend's there as well. I don't know, but it's just this thing of like the song's just about like mending fences and feeding the animals and stuff. It's like it seems so trivial, but to me, it's like it's a simple part of his life that he really enjoyed compared to all the craziness of everything else. So it means a lot to me.
Everything.
But then I feel like if it would be like, Paul, what's When Winter Comes about? Oh, well, I was just walking down the street and I seen this farmer and I thought, it would be pretty cool. I'll write a song about this farmer. Or some shit, and he just ruin it for me. He does that with everything. It's like, fuck's sake, Paul McCartney. Yeah. What are you doing to me? Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, keep an eye. There might be something, some sort of covers album or something cool coming soon. Anyway, with all these awesome artists, Josh Homme, St. Vincent, Beck. Those are the three that I've seen, but I think there's more out there. Yeah, I should also mention you've probably seen it if you're watching us on YouTube. You've seen it scroll up a couple of times there, but we're now proceeding to do a track of the. Well, you say track of the day, it'll maybe be like track of the weeks sort of thing. Yeah. So this week we're going with Hilo and the Tribes and their song "Teens Don't Write Diaries Anymore." We talked about it a couple of shows back. It will definitely be on the updated version of the Distant Soundwaves playlist, but we love it here over at Six Bro. Like, I mean, we're playing it all the time, so we've chosen it as our track of the week. We think everybody should go and listen to it, so it's just like a little extra push. So you guys want to be on there. If you want your song as track of the week, make sure you send links to us, because we only know about songs if we see them. So send them to us, so we see them with our eyes, and then we use our ears to listen to them afterwards. And then you might be track of the day, track of the week. I don't know. It's all very
track
fresh.
Of the week.
It's all very
track
new.
Of the week. God, track of the day. If we had track of the day, it'd be a job.
I'm not doing that 7 days a week, my friend. But yeah, Blue and the Tribes. Teens Don't Write Diaries Anymore. Check it out. Highly recommend. So you know what we need to talk about, Andy, and I feel like this is a good time. It's just me and you. It's just Nanndes and the Maple Leaf here. We need to talk about the Drake.
I was just about to bring up Scary Hours.
Scary Hours 2 dropped, and I feel like me and Andy can get real nerdy about it.
Well, I was glad to, because there was a leak that was out before that actually dropped, and I was like, I wonder if that leak didn't happen, if that would have been. I think that would have been. I'm upset that I listened to the leak now.
I didn't hear it.
I'm upset that I listened to it because
Were all 3 tracks on the leak?
No, just
What's Next.
What's Next? Yeah.
What's Next is a great song. By the way, like that, I sent Andy like a message right after the single that he dropped, What's Next, the music video. I sent Andy a message straight after. I was like, I've been to all of these places because it's all been filmed in Toronto, and every single place I was like, hey, that's wherever, he's at I'd say the Eaton Center.
And then I said
Ripley's Aquarium, you know, he's everywhere.
That's right, yeah. And then I said, like, that's probably one of the, it's like the COVID non-traveling thing probably made that video just that little bit better for, for him.
For people of
just
Toronto.
Being in Toronto, yeah.
Yeah. Although I think it's quite
I mean, he can
evident
film. He can film a music video in his house.
Yeah, 2C Slide. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
His house is fucking crazy, man.
Yeah. But anyway, so where do you want to go with
I mean,
this?
I just loved it. And I
now,
think...
do you see what I mean about releasing? How many tracks are on there? 4?
3.
3 tracks. See, I'm happy with that little pack. three
Yeah, but
quality
do you
songs.
not think this is? Do you not think this is the same marketing strategy as his last record, Scorpion? Because he released Scary Hours, the first one.
These are
Before it.
throwaways.
No,
Throwaways.
I don't think so because there weren't. It
I
wasn't
don't think his
throwaways on the
album
last.
sounds like this. I don't think his album sounds anything like this. I think
Well-
these are
well-
things to go, this is what I've got now. These aren't really what I'm going for. Have these in a pack, and then Certified Lover Boy, whatever it's going to be called, is going to be a left, and people are going to go, oh.
Well, I know that he's warned about that because he's compared it to his 2016 record Views, which by the way is it's one of my favorite Drake records, and people shit on it so much, but I really love that album.
Aged well. That album aged well.
Dude, I loved it on the drop, and I mean it definitely helped me as a proud Canadian, somebody from Toronto myself. It's like the fact that he's sitting on the CN Tower on the cover, that just made it. And you see the samples, like there's a song in particular, Club Paradise by Drake, which is an older song, like it's not on Views or anything, but he has a line on that song where he says, like, you know, people always tell me that my songs sound like home, and that's the only way I can explain it. Which is it's hard to put that across to other people, but the music that I grew up with, living in Toronto as a kid, it's very R&B centric. You know what I mean? It was always kind of R&B centric, and then whenever it was an R&B, it was country, and then it was hip hop and R&B. Like that's just kind of the music that seems to be chart toppers over there. But R&B was kind of always the underlying thread. So whenever he says that, I'm like, that's makes sense. Like especially Views, the kind of samples that he uses on Views are like these older 90s sort of R&B type tracks, like TLC, or you know, he's always got some sort of like Mariah sample on there, something like that, you know. But he always like takes those and then like puts a low pass filter over everything and raps over it. But that's why
Drakeifies it.
Yeah, it makes it feel like Toronto in the 90s to me, like it very much does. So I think he's right whenever he says that. But yeah, that's the impression that I'm getting Certified Lover Boy is gonna be, which is his next record, by the way, if nobody out there knows what it's called. He's got the heart shaved into his head for promo. But I think it will be very much in that vein. He said it could be as divisive as sorry, I can't say that word, divisive. I can't fucking say that. That's one of the words I can't say properly. Yes, as Views was, because he very much pushed club music in that sort of that, like, it's not the right, like, dance hall club or something like that. Like that was like Hotline Bling and stuff. So I think this will be very slow and R&B based, which is why he's prepping people.
Second
for
half of Scorpion.
yeah, second half of Scorpion. The only thing I'm not sure about is because Scary Hours 1, which he released before Scorpion, had God's Plan on it and Diplomatic Immunity. So it's like Diplomatic Immunity didn't make it on to Scorpion, but God's Plan did. So I'm kind of like, will What's Next make it on to
What's Next? Oh,
Certified Lover Boy, and the other two won't?
I don't think it does.
I don't think the other two will. To me, they're not album tracks. I was about to say album worthy, but that's not true. It's like my favorite song in that pack, that Scary Hours 2 pack, is Lemon Pepper Freestyle. It's my favorite thing. Lemon Pepper Freestyle is the
Rick
shit.
Ross.
Yeah, although like,
Rick Ross.
and can I just say I love Rick Ross, but it felt like he didn't need to be on there at all. Like, I mean, it's Drake's verse for me on that. That is just, it's a killer. It's just, it does what Drake does. It's honest and bold, and man, I just love the way he raps. That's why he's my guy. He's just,
I can't wait for it.
I love the way he comes off.
I can't wait for everything to open, and I can just go to someone and go, "Can I get a lemon pepper order?"
Hey, lemon pepper water, please.
And then see if, like,
That's
sorry, sir, we don't do
Yeah,
that.
it's too classy, man. It's fucking classy. That's why he said it. He's like, "Can I get a lemon pepper water, please?"
Oh
And I love
man.
that. But he
But
has
no, see,
so many good lines in that, and like you said about you know, being having to stay in Toronto during this whole pandemic, I feel there's a lot of lines about having to be in Toronto and being at home, and I feel like it's almost earlier Drake again, like where he's talking a lot about the city that he's from. You know, it's like he called out DeMar DeRozan um,
yeah,
from
he
the
loves the
NBA.
town. Yeah, the town
Yeah,
loves me
he's
like
like, my
DeMar
city
DeRozan.
loves me like they love DeMar DeRozan, which
Yeah.
is true. Even though he's not with the Toronto Raptors anymore, they still
Yeah.
love him. Which is, I don't know. There was a lot of great lines like that. Like I absolutely loved it. And what's that? The ending line that he has is like, you know, everybody else's shit feels like fire drills. It's like it's real, but it's never real. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
He
cool,
does.
man.
He does
That's
say
cool.
just the See, I didn't mind Rick Ross on it because as soon as you hear the beginning of that song, like the very chill, like that's a Rick Ross flow. That's a Rick Ross type of song. Yeah, he probably didn't need to be on like a whole verse, but I would have been happy with just like a few
Yeah.
bars or whatever. But
I mean, Rick Ross always kills it anyway, but it's just more the point of like whenever I'm listening to it, it's like I don't care so much about the Rick Ross verse. And that's the like I say that with so much admiration for the guy. Like even if you take a song with him and Drake before Money in the Grave, that needs Rick Ross. This doesn't, in my opinion, personally. Is like he could have done Lemon Pepper Freestyle by himself, Drake, but you know, whatever. I mean, he's on there. Rick Ross always sounds good. He has that old low raspy voice. Like it always sounds nice on my ears. So
Drake, and the thing is, just like the thing, just reading through some of the sentences here of the song, it's like when he talks about dropping his kid off to school.
yeah, I love that.
And then
shit.
like
That's good.
coming back, and then he's like about parent teacher
Our teacher
meetings.
meeting, big day for
And
my
it's
little
like-
man.
Yeah, and it's like
Wives get googly eyed.
yeah.
I love that.
And then
shit.
it's like, regardless of like what their husbands provide, and it's like
Yeah.
asking if I know Beyonce or Nicki Minaj, and the way that he says it in the song, he's like, "Of course,
Of course. Yeah.
you need to stop sounding that cocky in your songs."
Oh man, I fucking love it though, because I feel like that is the point of Lemon Pepper Freestyle. Like that is, I mean, even I think the fact that he's ordering like a lemon pepper water, like a fucking, you know, celeb, like top notch guy, like ordering this really random like, weird drink, because he's like so high society or whatever. That's the point of that song, because he has these lines in it. If you're looking them, you probably find them better than I can remember them. But it's this whole thing of like, you know, imagine if I was still singing about how I never made it, because
How I
that's
never
that is
made
a
it,
lot
yeah.
of that's a lot of Drake songs. So now he's talking about the reality of his life, which is, you know, trying to actually do normal things with his son, but people are like all over him all the time, and he plays up to it. You know, he's just like
Yeah.
doing this whole thing. It's like, yeah, I know all these people and I'm super famous, but you know what the best I mentioned this song earlier because it's one of my favorite Drake songs, but like the best counter to listen to with Lemon Pepper Freestyle, I think, is Club Paradise by Drake, because that song is so much about how he's at a certain stage in his celebrity and status that it's like he's a bit confused where he's at. It's like this whole thing of like, you know, people say you don't know what's going on in your city anymore. Is kind of the whole idea of Club Paradise. Is like you don't know what's going on there now. People say that you've changed. And then he has these lines about like certain I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head, like certain rappers would call me to say what up though. I used to brag about it to my friends, but now I realize that all these guys are cutthroat and all they do is
Yeah.
just pretend. So it's this whole thing of like, you know, he used to like be like, oh, I do know all these people, like, oh, this is whatever, like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm super famous now. And then, you know, I think him and Kanye relationship is probably the best, to be like, man,
Well, there
that
was-
guy's
yeah.
screwed you over. It's like
can't-
that guy is cutthroat.
What line is that? Is that on this song where he's like, I wanted to find
No,
Jesus.
that's
But that was the other one.
That's the
He's like,
second track.
yeah,
Wants
and it's
and
like
Needs.
as soon as I confess my sins, he was like
He
going
doesn't
out. As soon
believe
as
us.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that was another one.
It's like
But
I should start living with Yeezy. I need me some Jesus. But
Yeah.
as soon as I start confessing my sins, he didn't believe us. But
Yeah.
then that's what confused me is like, I felt that was a line very much up in the air. Does he mean that about God or does he mean that about Kanye? And I feel like it's intentionally left kind of open for you
Drake.
as like, you know,
Petty Drake. Petty
Drake.
Always remember, Petty Drake is the best Drake.
Petty Drake is the best Drake. That was like Laugh Now Cry Later, where he had that line about like this is between us. It's not like a store. This isn't a closable gap. And it's like, oh, totally calling out Kanye for the whole gap. Yeezy's going in the gap thing, whatever the hell.
But like you
Yeah.
can tell, like again, just reading through, like his dad, with his son and stuff. It's like not too many parallels left in our lives. I mean, my crib looked bigger through my son's eyes. It's like
Yeah.
this means it not that it means nothing, but just that imagery of his just son going, whoa, this is like a whole world. And Drake probably feels small in it.
And the squad looks bigger to the young guys.
Yeah.
It's all up here, Andy. It's all up here. I've been playing that thing on repeat ever since it came out.
I wish I could. I want my old job back so I can just have my headphones in all day.
I just listen to it in the car every morning. Like, I mean, I've been banging that lemon pepper freestyle constantly. I fucking love that shit. Drake's my guy. Like, gotta
And
love
then one of my other favorite songs is the one with the baby or Lil Baby in it. The
wants and needs or whatever. Isn't that what it's called? I think wants and needs.
Now, at the first listen, I was like, okay, he's trying to do the Bay E40, the baby offbeat thing. And then it got me thinking when Lil Baby started his verse, I'm like, right, who got this track first? Who rapped on this first? Because Lil Baby's flow is what Drake uses, and then I'm like, but also that would be something that Drake would do just to... Because then he catches up with the beat. He like that.
Yeah,
his
I feel like
catches
that's
up
the...
with the...
Yeah, I do like the Drake part at the start, because he's done this on a couple of songs now where, like, I feel it's intentional. It's actually quite intellectual, like, more so than people give it credit for. But Drake does this thing where he lets the drums drop out, and he will actually intentionally go off beat or go on his own beat. So it's like, even though the instrumental under him might be in 4/4, he's rapping in like 3/4. Which is the music theory version of it. It's kind of nerdy actually, and it's really cool because then it means eventually the beat catches back up with him and he can link in again. He's done that a couple times and it's very cool. But I like that at the start of Wants and Needs. It's cool.
That's what, like, the Bay Area back in the day. Like, you should really watch Evolution of Hip Hop on Netflix.
I should watch
when you
that,
watch
actually.
like the Bay Area scene again, like I said with E40, the whole offbeat rap is it's fascinating. It's like, oh wow, it's like it makes sense.
I like an offbeat rap. I mean, there's a lot of people who can do that cool, and I mean that's almost where trap came from, to be honest, because it's like that triplet flow is like slightly it's like off the beat instead. But that's what I like what Drake does in certain songs, because it's not even that he is off beat, but it's the fact that he's rapping on a different time signature than the time signature that the song is in. It's actually even more complex, but the worst part is it sounds incorrect. Like, it's one of those nerdy music theory things where it's like, if you know what he's doing, you're like, that's actually really cool. But then other people might listen to it and be like, that's sounds out of time, and that's wrong.
Nope.
And it's like,
Sounds
he's
cool.
out of time with the instrumental, but he's in time with the beat that he's on, which is crazy. So, but I mean, and I'm sorry to say this, but I always think that the middle song on that Scary Hours 2 is the weak song because of Lil Baby's verse. And
No, you're
it-
crazy.
I
You're
know,
crazy.
dude. I know.
I'm
people
not
will
the
say that.
goat, but I fit the description. Oh,
I
what a
know,
line.
I know. And it's not even. You know what it is? It's not even the lines. It's he goes hard, and he goes so
See,
hard
this is
that
where me and you will disagree all day.
I know we will, which is fine. We can disagree.
Yeah.
I just he goes so hard that it's the whole thing where it's super because it's like he doesn't even take a fucking breath. Like it's
love it.
constant. That verse, it's like I don't know how he does it, but at the same time, I don't overly listen to it, and I don't feel like it fits in with the rest of the song.
Oh,
That's my humble opinion. It's super impressive, but I just don't think it fits. Is my problem with that. But I've never, I don't know, fucking link up with Twista, little baby.
No
Do you
way.
want to not take a breath?
Twister's got nothing. Twister's
Twista.
got nothing on that guy. That guy, I'm pretty sure that see, because Drake listens to the likes of Lil Baby, Da Baby and stuff, who's another rapper that goes like offbeat and stuff. He has to take influence from them people because that's how you catch up and stay relevant. The way that Lil Baby raps on that, to me, his cadence, what he says, the flow that he's using, I just fucking.
It's a little Future-esque as well, isn't it? It's a little bit Future-esque to me. Maybe a bit harder than Future usually goes, but even it's the auto-tune as well. It's like that kind of warbly auto-tune where it's not perfect, but it's just kind of like watery.
Yeah.
I know, but it's just
that's your musical ears tuning in again, ruining this.
sorry. Like to analyze. Because you know what's another song where Drake goes offbeat, but it intentionally offbeat because it comes back around again. It's weird whenever he does this with time signatures, but he does that on Heady One. The song or Heady Freestyle with Heady One, should I say?
Yeah.
In his verse in that, he goes off the beat, and it just sounds like he's out of time for a while. But it's like because he's on his own beat. I can't think of the song in my head at the minute, so I can't even tell you the time signature difference. But this is the thing that goes underappreciated in rap sometimes. Is like whenever rock musicians do that, they're all about it. They're all like, oh, well, I did that at a different time signature. That was in 7/8. Isn't that so impressive? It's like, man, rappers be rapping on like 4/4 beats with 3/4 verses, and it's nobody knows. It's just fucking weird.
They do it to do it because it's like this would be cool. Well, obviously now some of them are probably obviously with the producers they're working in the studio. They'll probably know like.
I think some of the rappers don't know that they're doing it.
But they're probably
just like,
doing
this
it
would sound
going,
cool.
oh, this is like creative. This sounds cool. Let's try and do it like this. So,
yeah, totally. But and I love it. Scary Hours been playing it constantly. Scary Hours.
Looking forward to it when I eventually get a car. I'll get a car soon.
You're almost there. What are you
I was
gonna
looking at one
get?
today actually. I actually spoke. No way. A Suzuki Swift.
Man, that's a good car. I learned to drive in that car.
Suzuki
Swift
Swift
is a nice
hatchback.
car.
Actually, somebody that we know brought it round to my work today.
Okay.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'll get
man,
it
that would be
soon.
awesome. Suzuki Swift is a great car. I would die for that car. I learned to drive in it. That's great.
Started from the bottom. Suzuki Swift started from the bottom, like Drake,
here.
and then we'll go somewhere.
Started from the bottom. Now I'm in a car.
Do you know what? That is correct. That's a freaking, what does Lil Baby say in the song? Something about I lost a Ferrari in Vegas, Nevada. I woke up the following day and went harder. That's bar, dude. Come on. He lost a possession and went, I ain't gonna cry about it. I'm going at it again.
That's like that. Was it the first line Drake has on "What's Next," where he says about the watch that he has, and he's like,
oh, me and Virgil there's only two or something.
they've only got the two. They've only got the
the
two.
green,
I've got one.
the
Virgil's
paddock.
got the other. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. Sorry, this is why it's like we need to talk about scary hours now. While it's just me and Andy, we can nerd out about Drake.
Yeah, that's
Just
all
go
this.
way too deep into hip hop. Everybody else is lost.
Everyone's like,
Which is
I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee and that's it.
I know.
Well, do you want to hear something random I heard about today with music, video game music? Is that Sonic 3 apparently had some songs or a song that Michael Jackson had something to do with.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
See, this is where I wish we could play snippets on here.
Yeah, that would be good. Oh, we get cut off.
For
That's
video
awesome,
game
though.
music, though?
I don't know why, but I feel like this is one of the tricks my brain's playing on me. Where you said that, and it's like, yeah, I felt like I knew that. It's like, there's no way I would have known that. It's like why did I was like, yeah, that sounds right.
I watched the video today. It was like a Game Ranks thing, and it was like these untold truths or something in video games. And yeah, that came up. Michael Jackson, Sonic 3. And then I went and I listened to it, and I listened to this one called Ice Cap Zone. And I'm like, that sounds like if Michael Jackson
Where did it go?
made a video game song. And I'm not even joking. That's not far off of what it sounds like.
That was the beauty of playing the Michael Jackson Super Nintendo game. Did anybody play that out there? Fucking let us know in the comments. Yeah, the Moonwalker, man, that was my shit. That was great. Every level that you entered, he like flipped a coin and it went into the jukebox, and then it would just start going. And you like had the Michael Jackson kick people in the face. It was fucking great. It was pretty much the Smooth Criminal music video in a video game.
But honestly,
Fantastic.
because we can't play it here, once we finish, play it. Ice Cap Zone.
Yeah,
Sonic
I will.
3.
I will. Man, I gotta say, you
you'll be
see
like-
that there was that game Sonic Adventure. I adore the soundtrack to that. There's like one sort of jungle area that has this incredible like sort of African like African world music playing, and it's like, man, I've been trying to find that ever since. I know it's on the game. It's like I have to look at YouTube videos to find that particular song, and I was like, man, that's such a good song though. It's got all these like pan pipes and stuff in it. Very good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who would have thought it?
Loved it.
Also,
Love
can
it.
we just say right here that I want to start like a petition to release the ad Sonic version of the song. I want to see that. I really desperately want to see that. You know, like whenever
Yeah.
you had the weird face.
Yes.
Because I feel like it was made. I mean, they released the trailer, so it's like, let me see that movie. I want to see that one. I feel like there should be a special edition where it's like you get to watch it with the fucked up hedgehog. You know, the one that looked way
And
too
not
real
the-
and terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the fun cartoon one. I will live for that. If that came out, I would totally buy it. Like I would spend my hard-earned money on bad Sonic movie version, whatever.
But watch what you wish for in cartoons. You might get cancelled.
Yeah, man, everything gets cancelled now anyway. It's I don't know. I don't know. It's one thing after another. Right, you know what? You made a comment to it before. Have you ever looked up that Cat in the Hat stuff? It's actually pretty bad. The Cat in the Hat stuff, I don't know if I can.
Is that the Dr.
the doc-
Seuss thing?
Dr. Seuss books, yeah.
Oh yeah, I read
There is-
about that, and apparently they took out of 40 issues, the company personally took out 6, so they done it,
Yeah. Which I think is
and they were
fair
like, "Look,
because
we need to, get rid of these. These are bad."
they said certain things, and I'm pretty sure they referred to someone as a Japanese. And they also said something about them having like certain shaped
Slanty eyes
eyes.
and stuff.
I'm not gonna talk about it here, but
I mean,
it didn't age well.
No.
Needless
I mean,
to say.
they-
So at least they're taking the
You
action that they should
take
do.
now, like the Muppets. The Muppets probably need like a warning at the front of it for certain
Yeah,
things.
do they not though? Is this not something
Oh yeah,
that
well,
I've
is it? I don't
seen?
know.
I'm pretty sure I seen something recently where there's a warning. There is. I seen this on a
There's a
TV
warning.
show.
I haven't.
There's a warning at the start of the Muppets now that like
Oh, there
the
you go.
thoughts and
See?
views posed are not accurate or something.
There you go.
I don't know in regards to what like, but there's a warning at the start of the Muppets. These are all the craziest stories I heard of recently. Lola Bunny. They're trying to desexualize her in Looney Tunes, which I'm like, I don't know if that's kind of fucked up. If the movie studio needs to do that, I was like, there's something wrong with people, man. But I don't have any problem with it. I was like, desexualize her all you want. I mean, why was she even sexualized in the first place? That was weird. I thought it was just for the fact of like Bugs Bunny's meant to fall in love with her. I was like, am I meant to fall in love with her? I was like, I don't know, man. There's something wrong with people if that was happening. I mean, it's literally some dude drew that somewhere. I was like, some dude drew that. It's like that I don't think you really watch it, but it's like Always Sunny. Whenever Dennis draws like a picture of a woman, so whenever he's drawing her, like Charlie gets really aroused by it. And he's like, "Ooh, it's like, can I take this home with me?" or something. It's just like that's essentially what is happening with Lola Bunny. It's not a person; it's a drawing. All right, it's a drawing of a rabbit. And then on top of that, in Space Jam, because that's where this comes from, the Lola Bunny thing. Pepe Le Pew, he's being left out of the entire movie because of apparently he's encouraging rape, I guess, to the children. I don't know. I don't really feel that exactly. I do think that he was a pretty like bad character because he was it's essentially hating on the French. I mean, that's what Pepe Le Pew was, in my opinion, was like a really bad stereotype of a French person, which is equally horrible. I don't think it was really much to do with rape, like, but I don't know.
Stereotypes like pretty much. Fuck.
Oh, are you about to say stereotypes are stereotypes for a reason? That's terrible.
No,
Don't
but
say
aren't
that.
stereotypes like? No, I wasn't gonna say that. But like, half of comedy is truth.
I know, but that's actually what I said to you whenever I said that the Pepe Le Pew thing is like, because people get so enraged immediately, and it's like, right, if you think about it for a second, yeah, the whole point of that character was like, for some reason it was their depiction of somebody French, which was like overly pushy and romanticized everything, and he was like, what, in love with a cat. So, or isn't that right? Or was he in love with another skunk?
No,
I
it was
a
a cat that looked like.
Which, if we want to get in there, it was like a cross-species relationship, which was pretty progressive back in the day.
We'd call her Mon Chéri.
Mon chéri. Yeah, so he was very pushy, but then everyone hated him for it. Like, that's what I feel is the point. Is like, if anything, did it not teach? I don't know. It either taught kids to be like, yeah, he got comeuppance, and it taught kids that's not a good thing to do, or maybe it taught kids perseverance, which is probably a bad thing. So you know what? Yes, just take them out. just too many questions. Just take them out. That's fine.
Nah, I would be wasting breath if I was to.
I just think
talk about it.
It's hard because parents put their own beliefs on it, and it's like, man, kids are innocent. I don't think they see that at all. No. I just don't think there's anything there. You put that on them, and then you create this thing. It's like there's
it's the creation of stuff,
right
like the potato head thing.
Well, you see what you're saying about the potato head thing, right? The only thing that annoys me about Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, right? Right, and we're talking about this on the fly, so if anyone hasn't seen, it's that they were gonna stop calling Mr. Potato Head Mr., and they were just gonna call it Potato Head. But I think Mrs. Potato Head existed.
Still a thing.
Yeah. I haven't read the story, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't really see why they don't have a Mrs. Potato Head, a Mr. Potato Head, and then just a Potato Head, because that would keep everyone happy. And it seems so silly that I'm even having this conversation. It's like it's so silly. It's just silly. That's what it is. But that's my point. Is either just make it Potato Head or have all three. I don't get what the problem is. But see what you're saying, Andy, is this is the same thing about people who are like the royal family. Oh, they're good because they give to charity, right? The people who make Mr. Potato Head toys and Mrs. Potato Head and just Potato Head to be fully inclusive, the people who make those toys, like it's publicity. I mean, that just got Mr. Potato Head back in the news for the first time since Toy Story. Like, I mean, yeah. It's easy publicity. Like, people want to have, like, I think that was wrong, or I think that was right. It's just capitalism, guys. It's just a company that's like, you know what would get us on everyone's TV again? Let's do something that people care about. They don't actually care. I do not believe that they care one bit about what the message is meant to be. They just knew if they did something like that, they'd end up on the news. That's my opinion. Take it or leave it. I don't care. Like, it's a
Elmer
fucking toy.
Elmer Fudd should be cancelled for animal abuse and not having a registered firearm.
It's a fucking cartoon, man. People are like just far too triggered or something, because I'm like, dude, I hate animal cruelty. I am a practicing vegetarian and I don't eat meat at all. I'm not vegan, like, but I'm a vegetarian. But you know what? Looney Tunes is funny, man. It's fine. I don't think it really makes me want to go out and hunt rabbits. I actually made the choice to do the opposite and not even eat them. So it really didn't have any effect, but I could still go and watch Looney Tunes because I'm not a sociopath. I'm not a crazy person where I'm like, this affects my entire life and I have to tell everyone about it. Oh, people are the worst. I'm going to delete all my social media. I'm done with it, man. I'm absolutely done. I can't be bothered anymore. Every 2 seconds, it's something else. That's like our friend sent us a clip from the Stephen Nolan show. And it was... I wish I could play it on this. Because
I laughed out loud.
I laughed so hard. And the woman's voice is the most annoying Belfast voice that you'll ever hear in your life.
But it's not even that. It's literally what
she doesn't make any sense.
Says.
Oh yeah, it's everything combined. But you know, from the minute her voice happens, you're like, yeah, okay, of course you think like this.
If I called you fat, is that racist? What are you saying?
So this old lady comes on the Stephen Nolan show, phones in, and he's obviously talking about the Meghan Markle thing and the Prince Harry thing, and the whole thing that was brought up about, you know, the royal family being racist because they were concerned about the color of their child's skin, blah blah blah. It's all fucked up, whatever. But of course the Nolan show for some reason thinks, let's deal with these highbrow issues happening throughout the world. Let's get a color on. And this lady comes on and she's like, Stephen, I actually feel bad for the royal family, so do. I just don't think it's fair. I mean, what if I sat there and I says, you're fat? Would that not be racist? And
No.
Stephen Nolan goes, no. And that's where the clip ended. And I was like, yeah, all right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm done. I'm done with everyone. Why do we accept those calls? I mean, I've watched enough Frasier in my life to know that there's someone on the other side of the glass that monitors the call first. The minute you hear someone be like, hey, I'm here to speak to Stephen Nolan, you're like, nope, not allowed. Not allowed. Completely based upon your voice, we're not putting you through. What age are you? 90? No. You're not allowed on this show. That's probably his only viewership, let's be honest, anyway. Bunch of 90-year-olds. Who are all super safe now.
oh, yeah, that's right.
That's what he said.
Hey, when's it going to be our turn?
I know. Looks like that's what people are just like if they give the go ahead for people who have been vaccinated to mix indoors with other vaccinated people. It's like bingo hall is gonna be jumping. Like it's like this is the only place people are fully vaccinated at the moment.
88.
88. Two fat ladies, idiot, and that.
What's
is that what idiot? I don't know.
What's it? 88? Yeah, it is. And
what's
then,
69?
Legs 11.
What
legs
is 11? Is it
I
something?
don't know what 69 is.
Something nasty.
Chicago sunroof. I don't know.
Chicago sunroof.
Is that not in Better Call Saul when he's in the bingo hall?
Yeah, it's Chicago sunroof. He starts talking about yeah. No, his problem that he keeps bringing up B. They have letters on his bingo and it's like B for brother, but he doesn't want to say brother because he's having problems with his brother. Go watch Better Call Saul. It's the best. Yeah, to be honest, man, I think we'll wrap it up here. There is something that I want to talk about with the Kings of Leon record, but I think I might save it for the next episode. And people probably know what I'm talking about already. It's the way they released it was it's a bit weird.
Can I bring up the thing that I'm hopefully working on? That integrates with this. So eventually, once I get settled with my new position in work and stuff, when I have time. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to try and on the podcast days, I'm going to do like hopefully you can join as well. Try and find some way to, carry on the podcast over on Twitch as like I called it the green room to be cheesy, but
yeah, it's like the after show. The
after show, the chill show, like maybe a game in the background, just talking about random stuff. Pretty much like what we've done for an hour and 40 minutes right now.
That's Nanndes in the Maple.
But I'm going to try and work on something like that. It's been a thing that I've wanted to do for years. And we're going to try and work that in. Give you more content. Give you more stuff.
More platforms to jump on. I mean, it would be cool to just like, you listen to the show. If you want to keep the conversation going now that we're doing this live, we'll be able to be like, jump on over to Andy's Twitch channel and we'll all go over there. Andy can stream a game and we'll stay and we can keep the convo going. Yeah.
We'll chill. But yeah, I've got loads of ideas, the Discord channel, all that stuff. And we'll work on that and we'll divulge when it's all good and ready to go.
Totally, man. And I mean, say it once again, check out Hilo and the Tribes. Teens Don't Write Diaries Anymore. That's our track of the week. We are loving it over here. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Spotify. It's all the best ways that you can support the channel, And I guess I'll play us out with the theme song, the terrible theme song.
The 8 minute. See, but and then no, play the other one. Play the chill one.
No,
that intro got me too hype.
It's gonna hype everyone up, and then it'll just be over. But this is the only chance we get it. This is Nanndes in the Maple Leaf, Volume 2, Electric Boogaloo.
This should be a Patreon thing.
Every time we reach a certain goal, we'll do Nanndes in the Maple Leaf, where me and Andy just shoot the shit on the podcast.
True.
Oh, man. Right. Well, this has been Nanndes in the Maple Leaf and also Six Bro Music and Entertainment Podcast. Please do all that stuff I said. You can follow us on our Instagram. The tags are on our screens here if you're watching on YouTube. If not, just go find us. We're called Don Maple and Nanndes. We're around.
Also, that's my Twitch name as well. So.
That's your Twitch name, too.
Here we go.